My name is Macy Black, and I am a school social worker. So I went to the University of Georgia, and I got a degree, both a bachelor's and a master's degree in social work. They're one of the few schools in the state that offer a bachelor's in social work as well, which is more general, and then my master's was a little more specialized. So I went to school there. I'm originally from South Georgia, so it's kind of a long haul, but after doing social work there and interning there through that time, I knew I wanted to do social work in this area and schools, because I was able to do internships in schools there. And so once I got out of school there, I just started looking for jobs anywhere I could in the surrounding area, really, and kind of lucked into finding one. It was just a little gem that, especially during COVID, it was a little scary not knowing if there was going to be anything available, but got a little lucky. So I am from, like I mentioned before, a small town in Georgia, very small rural town, South Georgia. My mom is a school teacher, and then my dad is actually a geologist, weirdly enough, a little fancier than it actually is. But so I grew up in a school system with my mom being a teacher, and that's part of the reason that I ended up in this position, I think, was just my understanding and love for being in schools, being around staff, being around kids, and just knowing the background of schools and how they work. So that kind of led me to being here. I can definitely attribute it to my mom. Oh, okay. So the moment I knew I wanted to be a social worker, it's kind of funny. I was in high school, and I was on a mission trip to Haiti. And I fell in love with this little girl at an orphanage. She was just the most precious thing ever. And so we spent the whole day there. I was around her a lot. She was probably about 1.5. And then the next day we were leaving. We were at the airport leaving to come back to the US. And I look around, and there she is at the airport. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the little girl I was just hanging out with at the orphanage yesterday. And her mom was there. Basically, she was being adopted, and we had no idea. And I remember just being one of those things, and I'm like, what are the odds that that would happen? And then thinking, okay, whatever makes this happen, I want to do it. But like, that was my big aha moment going there. And so a few years down the line, this is what I'm doing. I ended up going and I got a tattoo, my one and only. My mom, I just told my mom I want a tattoo. I know what I want. She's like, okay, what do you want? And I told her it's the date that happened. It was the date that I saw that girl at the airport, and I knew that that was the job for me. And so she's like, okay, go for it. So I have it just as a little reminder every day when it's hard, when I'm going through school and it's hard, when I'm here now and it's hard, just to look down and say, that's right, like that's why I'm here. A day in the life of a social worker is different every single day. Some of the general things that I work with or I do involve just student attendance, having meetings with parents, school staff, kids. I deal with social emotional stuff with their mental health. If they're coming back from like a hospitalization or a hospital stay, we have meetings for that, and we make safety plans and that kind of thing. I meet sometimes with kids one-on-one, just offering extra support, but also just anything that goes on outside of school or in the home for families that need to be met to help kids be more successful in school, I do. So if they need clothes, I get it. If they need food, I get it. If they need shelter, I get it. If they need gift cards or financial assistance, I work with them on that. So it really goes through a whole array of things, honestly. It could be any given thing on any given day. So just a lot of crisis management, a lot of finding resources and meeting them with resources, helping make doctor's appointments and getting them paid for and getting them transported there, helping get glasses and getting them paid for and transported there, just helping with insurance or helping them get, just government assistance. Sometimes those applications can be hard. So I do a good bit of that. So on my contract, it says I work from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Good hours. That's one good thing about being in school. There are pretty set hours, but depending on what I'm doing that day or what they need from me, I may come in earlier, I may leave later, one or the other, both. It just depends, because sometimes I might be going to a meeting at a school earlier with parents or staff. I might be staying later on home visits, or if we have emergencies pop up, we have to stay until it's settled. There are times over the summers I'm technically off, but If a house burns down, you got to deal with it. If somebody loses their housing or there's just something traumatic that happens, you have to pick it up and go, just no matter where you are. So, and I've definitely seen that happen over the summers and over breaks, and it's just kind of nonstop. I think the most difficult thing sometimes can be if there's a problem that I can't solve. This is a job where you are literally a professional problem solver. That's what you do all day, every day. And some of them are trickier than others. And so not having a solution and just not being able to offer help is difficult for me, just because I'm kind of in my soul as a person. I'm just a perfectionist. I want to do it, and I want to do it well. And I care a lot about my students and my families. And so either not being able to solve the problem or offer enough of the support that makes any kind of change. It could very well not be anything that involves me or that I'm able to do, but just knowing that for myself, that can be difficult. So managing that sometimes and having personal boundaries, I think, can be really difficult too, because like I said, I love my kids and I love my families, and so it's hard not sometimes. I've gotten pretty good at it, but sometimes it can be hard to draw that line where you're not going home and thinking about this so much, or you're not crossing that barrier to where you're caring about someone else's problems way more than you are everyone else. That kind of thing. That can be hard sometimes. I think in the end, the biggest thing I would want to be made aware of involving social workers is just who they are, what they do. And the importance of what they do, because at the end of the day, there are very few things more important than the safety and upbringing of our kids, of human beings, and that's really what they do. Not just in my lane it is kids, but as far it branches from infants to the elderly and all facets in between. So social workers are involved in almost everything, and you can find them in a lot of different avenues: healthcare and schools and social. It's just the whole thing. Social services, they're expansive, and so just knowing that they are there, that they do serve a purpose, and acknowledging that purpose and doing things to show that they're valued, because I think that it's in a lot of places and in a lot of avenues, it can be a very undervalued job. So a moment that has stuck with me, I think I've had several incredible things and several awful things that all linger, but I did have this year, I have a family who I'm very close with that ended up buying me a Christmas gift for Christmas, which of course this is a family that doesn't have a lot, and I know they don't have a lot. I've seen it. I was actually helping them get Christmas for themselves, but they took it out of their time to pick little gifts for me. They weren't much, but they're little. There's something, and they used their money to get it, the little bit they had, and had a really sweet card that they all signed for me, and that, I think, I still have it. I'll never forget it. Oh, gosh, for the future of my kids here, God, I hope they all graduate. That is my biggest goal in life, is that, but in truth, I just hope that they become anything they want to be, Whatever it is that their goal is, I hope they reach it, and I hope that they know that they can, because I have so many kids that have never been told that and don't realize it or don't think that, and that's what I want for them. I just want them to be successful in whatever that means to them, because it looks different for everybody, and not everybody's goal is to do this or do this, but I want them to be successful. As a social worker myself, I hope that I play a role in those kids becoming successful. Any barriers that there are to them being successful, I hope that I'm able to bring them down. I hope that I make this, my district, better than it was before I came. I hope that everybody that I come in contact with feels valued and understood, and feels respected. To an aspiring social worker, I would say, don't give up, because it gets really hard and you think, am I crazy for wanting to do this? And I am here to say, yes, you're a little crazy, but that's okay. I had so many people in the beginning tell me that I might be too tender-hearted, or that this might not be the path for me. And just as time has gone on, I've proved them wrong. And at the end of the day, it's all worth it. I mean, you get really stressed and you get really tired and you get really frustrated at times, but I think that's true in any job. And so if this is a job that you find your importance in, that you feel is worth pursuing, stick to it. I would say, just don't give up. Power through school, power through, internships and working, and power through all the hard times, because there are some really great times that make it all, like I said, worth it.